My name is Madison Clark, and I was 26 the first time I realized my family didn't love me. They managed me. It happened in a place that was supposed to be safe. A wedding. My sister's wedding, to be exact. I was standing behind the catering table, my hands submerged in warm, greasy water that smelled like lemon soap and burnt sugar, scrubbing champagne glasses that kept coming back to me in endless waves. The music from the garden outside floated through the open doors. Soft piano, laughter, the kind of joy that feels rehearsed for photographs. And I remember thinking one simple thing. Why am I always the one working in the background of my own life? Madison! My mother's voice cut through the noise like a blade wrapped in silk. I didn't even need to turn around to know her expression. Tight smile, eyes sharp enough to correct me before I even made a mistake. There are more trays in the kitchen. And please don't break anything. Today is already stressful enough. Today. Not my sister's wedding. Not our family celebration. Just today, as if I was an inconvenience scheduled into the day like bad weather. I'm on it, I said automatically. That was my role. Not daughter, not sister. On it. Behind me, guests laughed under white tents in the garden. I caught flashes of my sister Olivia in her dress, glowing, perfect, untouchable. The kind of happiness that looks like it was designed in a studio. I should have felt happy for her. I tried. I really did. But then I heard it. My God, she still works like that? A woman's voice, close enough that it wasn't meant to be private, far enough that it was meant to be ignored. A man chuckled. Some people just stay stuck, I guess. A pause. Then someone else, quieter. Isn't she the one who dropped out of grad school? I froze with my hands still in the water. Dropped out. That wasn't even true. I left because my father said it was financially irresponsible to keep studying something unmarketable. And somehow, over time, that became a story where I quit because I couldn't handle it. That's how families like mine worked. They edited you until you became convenient. I forced myself to keep scrubbing. Glass after glass, smile after smile I wasn't giving anyone. Then the sound changed. A chair scraped somewhere behind me in the kitchen doorway. Footsteps. Not light ones. Not casual. Purposeful. I've been looking for you. It was Daniel Reed. My sister's fiancé. The one person in this entire family who never quite learned how to pretend I was invisible. I didn't look up immediately. I'm busy, I said. You're always busy when it's your own life you're ignoring. That made my hands still. Slowly, I turned. He was standing there in a navy suit, sleeves rolled up slightly, like he didn't belong in the polished world outside either. His eyes flicked to the sink, then back to me. You shouldn't be doing this alone, he said. I let out a short breath that almost became a laugh. It's fine. It's what I do. That's the problem, he replied. Something in his tone made my chest tighten, not panic yet, but the early shape of it. Like a storm deciding whether to arrive. Before I could respond, a voice came from the doorway behind him. Sharp. Controlled. Dangerously calm. Daniel. My mother. She didn't step fully into the kitchen at first. She never did when she wanted control. Only presence. Her eyes moved between us slowly, then settled on me like I was a detail she needed corrected. Why are you distracting the groom's party before the ceremony? She asked. I started. But she cut me off instantly. No. Don't explain. Just finish what you're doing. Then, softer, but worse somehow. You always make things complicated when people are watching. Daniel shifted slightly. I asked her to help me, he said. My mother didn't even acknowledge him directly. That's very kind of you, she replied, like he was a child who had interrupted adult conversation. But Madison gets overwhelmed easily. She prefers to stay useful. Useful, not loved. Not included. Useful. Something inside my chest tightened just slightly too hard. I turned back to the sink. Kept scrubbing. But my hands weren't steady anymore. The water felt louder. The laughter outside felt farther away. Like I was underwater watching a life I wasn't allowed to enter. And that was when it started. The pressure. Small at first. Easy to ignore. a tightness behind my ribs like someone wrapping invisible thread around my lungs. I paused. Took a breath. It didn't feel like it reached the bottom. Another breath. Shorter, shallower. My fingers gripped the edge of the sink without meaning to. "Madison?" Daniel's voice sharpened slightly. I tried to answer, but my throat didn't cooperate the way it should have. I need a second," I managed. My mother sighed behind me. "Not now. Please don't start something. We are literally minutes away from the ceremony." Start something. Like breathing was optional, like my body had chosen bad timing out of spite. The room tilted slightly, not dramatically, just enough that I had to shift my weight to stay upright. "I can't," I whispered, and that was when my lungs stopped listening properly. Air went in. Not enough came back. My vision narrowed at the edges. The sink, the glasses, the reflection of myself in the steel basin. Pale, unfocused, unfamiliar. "I can't breathe," I said louder. This time, it wasn't a whisper. It broke. Daniel moved instantly. But my mother stepped forward first. And what she said next is something I will never forget. Because it didn't just dismiss me. It erased me. "Madison, stop. This is not the time for attention-seeking behavior." Attention-seeking. As if my body was performing. As if oxygen was optional. My knees weakened slightly. The glass in my hand slipped and hit the sink with a sharp crack. That sound changed everything. Daniel crossed the space in 2 steps. "Hey, look at me," he said firmly. His hand touched my wrist. And his face changed immediately. Not annoyance. Not confusion. Something else. Recognition. "Call 911, he said sharply. My mother laughed once. A short, disbelieving sound. "Are you serious right now?" Daniel didn't look at her. "Call 911. The laughter outside faded slightly, like the world had started to notice a shift it couldn't explain yet. My mother's expression tightened. "She does this when she's overwhelmed," she said calmly. To him, not to me. "She just needs space. Don't escalate it." Daniel looked at her then. Really looked. And something in his expression hardened. "This isn't emotional," he said. "This is medical." That word landed differently. Medical, not dramatic. Not inconvenient. Not inconvenient timing for a wedding. Medical. And for the first time, someone in the room seemed unsure. But not my mother. She stepped closer to me, lowered her voice like she was doing me a favor. "Madison," she said, "if you ruin this day for your sister, I swear." That's when everything narrowed. The sink disappeared. The kitchen disappeared. Even sound faded. All I could hear was the strange, distant rhythm of my own heartbeat refusing to stay calm. And Daniel's voice again. Stronger now. "Hey, stay with me." I tried to. I really tried. But the last thing I saw before the world tilted fully was my mother's face. Not worried, not scared. Annoyed. Like I had chosen the wrong moment to fall apart. And then everything went white at the edges, and the air simply stopped feeling like it belonged to me. The first thing I felt was cold. Not emotional cold, physical. A sharp, sterile chill pressed against my skin, like the world had been replaced with metal. Then sound returned in pieces, beeping, fast footsteps. A chair rolling. Oxygen saturation is dropping. "Keep her with us. Madison, can you hear me?" My eyes opened halfway. Too bright. Everything was white and moving too fast. A mask was pressed over my face, and air rushed in like it was being delivered instead of offered. I tried to pull it off instinctively. A hand stopped me. "Don't," Daniel's voice said, close and steady. "Just breathe. Breathe." As if it were simple. As if I hadn't just lost the ability to do it in the middle of my own life. My vision cleared slowly. I was no longer in the kitchen. Hospital ceiling. Fluorescent lights. A monitor beside me drawing green lines like proof I was still here. Where? My voice came out cracked. You had a severe panic response with respiratory symptoms, a nurse said calmly, adjusting something on my IV line. You're safe now, safe. That word hit strangely, because nothing about what I remembered felt safe. Daniel was sitting in a chair near the bed, elbows on his knees, watching the monitor more than me. His suit jacket was gone now, sleeves rolled higher. He looked like he hadn't moved in a while. What happened at the wedding? I whispered. He hesitated. Just a fraction. Then, they brought you here before the ceremony started. My stomach tightened. The ceremony? I repeated. He exhaled slowly. Madison, you collapsed in the kitchen. I turned my face slightly toward the wall, not because I didn't believe him. Because I did. That was the problem. My mother's voice echoed in my head even now. Stop attention-seeking behavior. Even here. Even now. The door opened. And I knew before I saw her. Perfume arrived first. Controlled. Expensive. Familiar. My mother stepped in like she was entering a meeting, not a hospital room. Behind her, my father. And Olivia. Still in her wedding dress. That alone almost broke something in me again. She shouldn't have been here. Not like this. Not with her makeup slightly smudged, holding the edge of her veil like it was something fragile she was afraid to drop. My mother spoke first, relief carefully shaped into annoyance. Madison. Finally. Do you understand what you did? No, are you okay? No, we were worried. Just impact. Just consequence. My father crossed his arms. You caused a scene in front of everyone. My throat tightened. I collapsed, I said quietly. You overwhelmed yourself, my mother corrected instantly. There's a difference. Daniel stood up. There isn't, he said. My mother turned slightly toward him. Excuse me? She couldn't breathe, he repeated. That's not a performance. Olivia finally spoke. Soft, unsteady. Mom, I think she was really sick. That was new. Olivia didn't usually contradict her. My mother turned to her immediately. Sweetheart, you were about to get married, she said, voice tightening with control again. We are not turning your wedding into a medical misunderstanding. Medical misunderstanding. As if my lungs had been optional. As if I had chosen bad timing again. I stared at the ceiling. Something in me went very still, not calm. Just distant, like I was watching this happen to someone else. My father stepped closer to the bed. You embarrassed your sister, he said flatly. That sentence. Not are you okay. Not we're glad you're alive. Embarrassed your sister. I turned my head slightly toward him. My body shut down, I said. He didn't react. You always overreact under pressure, he continued. You should have excused yourself earlier. Daniel's voice cut in. She tried to tell you she couldn't breathe. My father finally looked at him properly. This is family business, he said coldly. Daniel didn't move. Then your family needs help. Silence. Heavy. My mother inhaled sharply. This is exactly what I mean, she said. Strangers come in and suddenly everyone thinks they understand our daughter better than we do. Our daughter. The way she said it made my chest ache. Because it didn't sound like ownership. It sounded like possession. Like I was a shared object they were arguing over. The nurse stepped closer quietly. I need to ask something, she said gently. All eyes turned. She looked at me, not them, me. Madison, do you feel safe with your family here right now? The question didn't feel dramatic. It felt clinical. Simple. But my body reacted before my mind did. My fingers tightened slightly on the blanket. My throat went dry. I thought about every moment like this. Every time I was told I was too sensitive. Too dramatic. Too much. And every time I swallowed it because it was easier than fighting. Daniel didn't speak. He just watched me. Waiting. For the first time, no one was interrupting me. No one was correcting me. No one was laughing. Just waiting. My mother's voice softened again. Carefully constructed. Madison, she said, don't be emotional. Just answer properly. and something inside me cracked differently this time. Not loudly. Quietly, like glass, deciding it had held enough weight. I looked at the nurse. And I said no. One word. Not loud, but final. The room changed instantly. My mother's face tightened like she had been slapped without contact. My father went still. Olivia's hand flew to her mouth. Daniel closed his eyes briefly, like he had been expecting it, and still felt the impact anyway. The nurse nodded once. Understood. She turned slightly toward the door. I'm going to ask your family to step out for now. My mother's voice rose immediately. Excuse me? This is ridiculous. She's overwhelmed. She doesn't know what she's saying. The nurse didn't argue. She just said calmly. She just did. That was worse than shouting. Because it wasn't emotional. It was final. My father stepped forward. You can't remove us from our daughter's room. The nurse looked at him. Actually, I can. And then she opened the door. Security was already nearby. Not rushing. Not dramatic. Just present. Like this wasn't the first time a family had confused love with control. My mother's eyes dived to me. This is your fault, she whispered. Not loudly. Not for the staff. Just for me. As if I had personally orchestrated my own medical crisis to punish her. Olivia looked at me then. Really looked. And for the first time, she didn't look like she knew what side she was supposed to be on. Madison, she started, but didn't finish. Because she didn't know what to say, that wouldn't sound like choosing a side. My father turned sharply. We'll talk later, he said coldly. Not to me. At me. And then they left, not forced. Not dragged. Just required to step outside the space they were used to controlling. The door closed, and the silence after it felt unreal. Daniel sat back down slowly. The nurse adjusted my oxygen again and said quietly, You're okay. You're stable. Stable. I didn't feel stable. I felt like something had shifted permanently inside me, and no one had named it yet. Daniel leaned forward slightly. You didn't do anything wrong, he said. I stared at the ceiling. That's what they always say when I stop agreeing with them. He didn't answer immediately. Because there wasn't a good answer. Only truth, and truth is heavier. When you're hearing it for the first time in your own voice. Outside the room I could hear distant voices. My mother, sharper now. My father, controlled. Olivia, crying softly. But it was muffled. Contained. Like the world was finally putting boundaries where I never had. And for the first time that day, I wasn't asking for air, I was just breathing it. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. Hospitals don't allow sleep so much as they allow pauses between sounds. The soft beep of the monitor, footsteps in the hallway, a distant elevator door opening and closing like the building itself was breathing. Daniel stayed until late. He didn't talk much. Neither did I. At some point he fell asleep in the chair, head tilted slightly, exhaustion finally winning over whatever responsibility had kept him upright for hours. I watched him for a while. It felt strange, being in a room where someone stayed, without demanding anything in return. No correction. No judgment. No performance. Just presence. Around 3 a.m., a nurse came in quietly and checked my vitals. She smiled faintly when she saw I was awake. Your body's stabilizing well, she said. We'll probably discharge you tomorrow if everything stays steady. I nodded. Is my family still here? I asked before I could stop myself. The nurse paused just slightly. Yes, she said carefully, but they've been asked to remain in the waiting area. Waiting area, not control room, not command center. Just waiting. That word should have made me anxious. Instead, it felt distant, like it belonged to another version of my life. When morning came, light slipped through the blinds in thin strips, turning the hospital room pale gold. Daniel woke up when I shifted. You okay? He asked immediately. I nodded, then hesitated. I think, yes, I said honestly. For the first time in a while, Biff. He studied me for a moment. Not like he was trying to fix me, like he was trying to understand what had changed. You don't have to go back to them today, he said. That sentence should have felt obvious. It didn't. It felt revolutionary. I know, I whispered. A few hours later, the doctor came in with my discharge papers. He spoke calmly, clinically. Follow-ups, breathing recovery, stress response, therapy recommendations. But there was one phrase that stayed with me more than anything else he said. Your body reacted to sustained emotional stress, he explained. This wasn't random. It was cumulative. Cumulative. Years, not minutes. Lifetimes built out of small dismissals. I signed the papers with hands that didn't shake as much as I expected. When I changed back into my clothes, I felt strange. Like I was dressing someone who had survived something, not someone who was returning to normal life. Daniel walked with me down the hallway. At the exit, I stopped. Because they were there. My family, waiting like they had been paused mid-scene and didn't know how to resume. My mother stepped forward first. Her eyes were tired, but still controlled. Madison, she said softly. We should go home and talk properly. Home. That word used like a leash. My father stood behind her, arms crossed. We can fix this misunderstanding, he added. My sister stood slightly to the side. Olivia looked at me for a long time before speaking. I don't think this is a misunderstanding, she said quietly. That was new. My mother turned slightly toward her. Olivia, not now. But Olivia didn't move. She looked back at me. I saw you in the kitchen, she said. You weren't acting. Silence. For the first time, it wasn't just me resisting the story. Someone else was refusing it too. My mother inhaled sharply. You're all overreacting because of one medical episode, she said. Daniel finally spoke. One episode? He repeated quietly. She lost her ability to breathe because no one believed her. My father's gaze hardened. This is none of your business. I stepped forward slightly, and the room shifted with that movement alone. Because it wasn't collapse this time. It was choice. I'm going to say something, I said. No one interrupted. That alone felt unreal. I looked at my mother first. You don't listen when I'm quiet, I said. And you don't listen when I'm not. Her face tightened. I raised you. I know, I interrupted gently. And I spent my whole life trying to repay that instead of living. My father shifted. Don't turn this into drama. I looked at him. That's exactly what you always call it when I tell the truth. A flicker of something crossed his face. Anger. Or discomfort. Or both. Then I looked at Olivia. You didn't do anything wrong, I said softly. But you also didn't stop it. I don't blame you for that. Her eyes filled slightly. Because that was the truth no one usually said out loud. That silence is often survival, not agreement. Then I looked at Daniel. Thank you, I said. He didn't smile. He just nodded once, like he understood that it wasn't about heroism. It was about witnessing. And then I looked back at my family, and something in me settled completely. I'm not going home with you, I said. My mother's breath caught. What? I'm going to my own place. My father's voice dropped. You're being emotional again. I shook my head. No, I said calmly. I'm being consistent. A pause. Heavy. Real. I can't keep getting sick to be believed, I continued. I can't keep explaining my pain until it becomes acceptable. And I can't keep shrinking so the room feels comfortable for everyone except me. My mother's eyes glistened. This is because of him, she said suddenly, nodding toward Daniel. He's influencing you. Daniel didn't react. But I did. I smiled faintly. No, I said. This is because of me finally noticing what's been happening. That sentence landed differently, because there was no one left to blame it on. Not Daniel. Not stress. Not timing. Just truth. My mother took a small step forward. Madison, please, don't do this. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't soften it. I already did. Silence. My father exhaled sharply like he was trying to control a situation that no longer responded to him. Olivia stepped forward slightly. Can I come see you later? She asked quietly. I hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I said. If you want to. Because that mattered. Choice mattered. Daniel opened the hospital door. The air outside was colder than I expected. Real. Immediate. Alive. I stepped through it. And I didn't look back immediately. Not because I was cruel, but because I needed to feel what forward actually meant, without the weight of their eyes pulling me backward. When I finally did look back, they were still there, my mother standing rigid, trying not to fall apart in a way people could see. My father already retreating into pride. Olivia crying quietly now, no longer hiding it, a family still intact in structure, but no longer in control. Daniel stood beside me. You okay? He asked again. I thought about it carefully. Not the old version of okay, not survival. Something new. I think I will be, I said. And for the first time in my life, that didn't feel like a hope I had to earn. It felt like something already beginning.